podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your post-match Raw on Anfield Index Pro, podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1 in the Premier League from the Emirates Stadium are Jim Boardman and Guy Drinkle. Absolutely could not be more different in terms of feeling, in terms of the apparent effort levels, certainly in terms of the quality from the game a couple of nights ago where Liverpool absolutely destroyed the opposition in Anfield. We were always a bit hamstrung going into this one, Jim, and I think the team has sort of worked miracles, management and players in the absence of a lot of very, very good footballers in recent weeks. But this is the game where it came back to bite us on the arse. And here's the thing, Jim. It feels a little bit self-inflicted with the initial team selection and some of the shenanigans on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I've just come into this room, and the last time I was in this room, I was doing recording Scouts and Tommies. I've just moved the notes out of the way, which were full of like good things and buoyancy and happiness and, you know, hope for the rest of the season. And then I feel like I've come back in time to sometime last season. It's one of the worst performances I've seen from us in a while in terms of attitude. And I know we've had it at times this season. We've done Raws where we said, my God, we were bad for that first half hour, but we reacted. And today, the reaction just wasn't there. The goal that we got was lucky. You know, when they say things even out, well, that turned out to be true in the second half. But I think you knew that a run like this, we've only won once all season. That was in North London. That was thanks to some absolutely amazing refereeing. But you knew that a run like this is going to come to an end one day. You hope it's going to be against a team that's not really one of your rivals for what you're going for. So that's straight away we lost that possibility because it was Arsenal who were one of the rivals. But even then, you can kind of live with it because you kind of know it's going to happen. But it's just the way it happened. I think that's my biggest gripe with today. I mean, I could certainly look at Anthony Taylor and find fault with him, but he wasn't our worst player today by a long chalk. And that's saying something because he didn't even have one of his best days. It's just shameful. And I think, and that's the word I'm going to use, shameful, because you go back to that Tottenham game. I mean, we had adversity then, you know, siege mentality kicked in, and we nearly won that game against Tottenham despite being so hammered by the officials. And I think that spirit stood us in good stead for the rest of the season. And I just wish, part of me wishes we didn't get the equaliser before half time, because I think that the way we came out in the second half was like, oh, we don't have to do anything after all, then we can still get something. No, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you get luck in a game, but you don't always. You've got to go and find your luck sometimes. And I just think, yeah, from the moment I saw the team sheet, I had a bit of a worry, and I don't think it went away. Still not gone away. The only thing I can say is that we, generally speaking, do react well to things. And there's a week now where there's going to be a lot of soul searching, a lot of hand wringing, a lot of videos to look back on. And I don't know, maybe some hitting around the head with a badminton racket or something for a few of them because they need it.
Yeah, I would happily be administering a few of those badminton racket slaps myself, to be honest. I'm thinking
badminton racket rather than tennis racket, you know, this time, you know.
Yeah. Well,
next time, cricket bat.
Let's see how it escalates. Guy, Jim said there about, you know, just the frustration aspect of it is huge. And there is a level of a disappointment in the way certain lads perform. We do have to acknowledge the difficult circumstances of having guys out. But we do also have to acknowledge, and people won't want to hear it because, you know, the same kind of guys who come in white knighting for their favourite player all the time, if you dare to even just vaguely criticise them, like I've noticed, there's actually a weird level of support for Mr. Gravenberch that, you know, I've never seen anything quite like it before. These guys getting their backs up. If there's even a Vegas whisper of a lad not of that fella not having maybe done awfully well. But people won't want to hear any criticism of Jurgen Klopp either, given the circumstances and given where we find ourselves. But I think he got it wrong in terms of how the team was laid out today. We saw ourselves starting with Gravenberch and Gakpo, and you know, neither of them did a whole lot right in that first half. And when they went off with Trent, who I thought was equally bad as the two guys in terms of lack of effectiveness, and with Trent it was actually a bit more egregious than that at times. All around, you could say that the manager had a little bit of a mare with that lineup, I think. Now, again, people will say, what was he going to do? There's very little choice. We were very badly impaired by injuries. But just your initial response to the game in that context, mate.
Yeah, I think the Gakpo starting's fine because Darwin was clearly unfit. Even when he came on, you could see he just wasn't running as quick as he usually was. So the busted foot or whatever the hell was wrong with him is probably quite bad. So Gakpo I understand because obviously Mo had to piss off in the middle of our season and get injured. Great stuff. Cheers, lads. Again, Gravenberch, he's just not ready, is he? And we spent I don't want to just slag him off, but we spent 40 mil on him, and when we spend 40 mil, he has to be ready. They have to be ready to play first team, and he's just not. Like, I think in a wide, I mean, not today. Mind, he did settle. I'll say Arsenal's goal against themselves rather than our first goal.
Yeah,
it had fuck all to do with us. He obviously has talent, good pass. He had the odd moment where he dribbled past a couple, etc. But you can't. Someone who's not ready can't play in a game against these teams like Arsenal, who they're always intense. Even when Arsenal were quite shit, the games were intense. Games against City are intense. He's not ready for this level of opposition. And that's the position we did have options, because for me, I wanted Trent to start in midfield, bring Robbo in and shift Gomez from the start. Because then you have the quality of Szoboszlai, and we have seen Trent when he has played in midfield, he actually gives a toss, which helps. Or Elliott, for his faults when he does start games, he tries his hardest. He'll run for you. He'll die for you. He'll die for the club, whereas you can't. I don't think you can say the same about Gravenberch yet. So I think for me, obviously the tough situation with Conor Bradley, so Trent coming at right back does make sense, but I would have rather him gone into midfield because we just didn't have the quality in that position. Like, Mac tried his hardest. I think him and Diaz were probably the only ones tried the hardest, would probably get put next to the report after the game. But Jones was no help to Mac, and their Grav didn't do anything till the pass at the end of the half. I just don't think he's ready for a game like that. Whereas you look at Arsenal, they bring Jorginho in, who's not everyone's cup of tea, but he then helps Rice, who then Rice just went on to monster our entire midfield. Like, Arteta got it right, and I think Klopp, with limited options, unfortunately did get it wrong.
That's what's really sticking in my craw more than anything else, is the fact that Lego Head managed to look as if he put in a masterclass, and to see his celebrations at the end as well. It's just absolutely nauseating for me. I can't explain fully why I dislike them so much, and I'm quite glad. It's nice to be as old as I am and still have comparatively irrational feelings, and that is a comparatively irrational feeling. I mean, Arteta has no body of work whereby he was a great opponent of Liverpool or anything like that. I just really sort of inherently dislike him, and I really don't like this bunch of fellas he's putting together either, or their fans. So this one does sting a bit. And Jim, if we've kind of pulled apart a little bit the Liverpool team, and for balance, just in case anyone's going off there, in case we have any fans of Gakpo, Gravenberch and Trent who are immediately firing their devices at the wall because they can't hear anything vaguely critical about their irrational favourites. These are wonderful footballers. We get that. I'm kind of sick of saying it about Gravenberch. Oh, the talent is clearly there. That's the proviso at each and every tweet you see. Is it? Well, let's show it then. Let's see the talent all the time, consistently. Gakpo, well, you can see he's a very clever lad. He's got great touch, and has he? Yeah, we'll do it all the time then. Do it all the time. And with Trent, there was an attitudinal thing there that I saw today. Again, some people will say that that's bollocks. I will absolutely die on that hill. I thought, again, around the concession of the goal, I thought he was particularly appalling, both in terms of his effort level and position. But they went off, Jim. Those three went off, and we had enough time with our with the lads we wanted to see, with Robbo in, with Núñez in, and with Harvey Elliott in. And I'm looking at the match stats here. Liverpool, shots on target, shots registered, like in terms of on target shots, after the full game, one shot on target. So we need to be a little bit fair as well and say the guys who came on didn't work that magic you spoke about before, where that team digs deep and pulls rabbits out of hats. That spirit you talked about was so missing. It was just sad to see. And that, again, obviously there's a lot of nonsense. And when you're watching Sky, it's narrative all over the shop. And they're already, like I heard that absolute dipshit Drury saying something like, well, Liverpool won't disappear out of this title race. Will they not? No. The fact that they're still top of the league. I mean, the narrative is beyond a joke. But let's take a look at that Liverpool lineup, you and I, and let's talk about what you think the manager did right and wrong, if there were realistically any changes when we look at the bench, and so on and so forth. Because he starts with Ali, who, God love him, had an afternoon to forget, along with Trent at right back, Ibu and Van Dijk, and then Gomez at left back. It was Gravenberch, McAllister and Curtis Jones. Again, as you said earlier on, our guy, only Mac really can hold his hand up and say he had a good afternoon. Jota, Gakpo and Diaz, all various levels of ineffective, but the effort level, again, very much at least there from the wee Colombian fella. Our substitutes bench featured Thiago, Núñez, Adrian, Elliott, Robertson, Clark, McConnell, Kelleher, Quansah. So we do have options there. There are potential game changers. What did you think about the lineup? What was it what you expected? There was a lot of theories that Trent might get pushed into midfield. I didn't see it, Jim, because he hasn't done it yet, from the start, like outright. So I didn't really think it was going to happen myself, given also the fact that we're missing Bradley. And it's terrible to say in the context. It seems amazing to say, but like I haven't watched the guy up close now and haven't seen him for a few games in a row. That team actually missed his fire and energy and passion. Yeah,
that's it. And I mean, it's another little thing that winds me rather more about the performance today, because whatever he's going through right now, if he'd have got a thing up on his phone saying that we'd have beat Arsenal, it'd have been a little tiny smile on his face in what is a really, really difficult time. And yet, what's he going to see? But obviously, that says a lot, though, about Trent, that we were missing this young lad, Conor Bradley, who was playing out on loan somewhere last season, who, to be fair to him, probably could have played earlier on in the season, but had that injury. Was it a stress fracture in his back? Something nasty. And the energy from him. And I mean, I go back a week, it was the Norwich game in the FA Cup, and we had McConnell came into that game, and what a game he had. I mean, I don't know if it looked as good on TV as it did at the ground, but he was just in the right place at the right time, finding the right balls to the right player at the right time. To be starting his first game for us like that and playing so well, I would have been tempted to put, and this is the surprise I had, because first of all, I didn't realise Dominic was injured. So the first name I saw on the score sheet is the one who people might want to defend, our friend Ryan. I was shocked that he was on the team sheet at all, because I don't rate him. Even if I'm being kind about it, I think here's a player that isn't ready yet. It's a player that if he was an academy product, we would probably be sending him out on loan in this window just gone, to go and get some experience, rather than trying him out in our first team. And that's the kindest thing I can say. That's me saying there might still be some potential in there somewhere with him, but it's not there now. And I just feel like he offers less than he gives. So he's almost like, he's almost like a handicap to us at the moment. And it summed it up that one positive moment from him was the ball that led to our goal, which fits right into that narrative. I think I've used it before with him. He's a YouTube player. You can put some good clips of him together, and that's probably what his fanboys are really seeing, is a few little YouTube clips where he looked okay, in a little 5-minute montage of stuff. Stick the other 85 minutes on from every game and see if you can make a decent clip out of that. I just don't think you can. But other than that, though, I think it did feel a little bit like our hands were forced. Trent coming in for Connor. I think if Connor had been available, that is what would have put Trent in midfield, because I think Connor is more than capable of doing that right back role. And, and there's definitely questions as to whether he should be our first choice at the moment, given what we've seen today. But definitely he could have started today, and definitely Trent then potentially could have gone into midfield. That's, I think, that's what stops Trent going into midfield to start a game, is we need to have someone decent at right back. And I'm not a fan of the thing where Trent sort of does two jobs, because I don't think he does. I think for most of the time he just ends up being ineffective in both jobs when we do it. And I feel like we've said it too many times now. It should be obvious to everyone. It's so obvious to us. Then
Evo has to do 3 jobs as well.
Well, yeah. And then at times, Virgil has to do a bit more. We're asking Virgil's a decent player. He's still looking pretty decent for his age and all the rest of it. But, you're putting more pressure on him. I think it was obvious that with Connor missing, Gomez was going to start on one side or the other. And that was the only issue. Would it be Robbo or Trent who started? And the only thing I can say there is that Robbo's been out longer. So maybe Trent was thought to be more ready. And also, it's a little bit less disruptive in the sense that Gomez stays doing the job he was doing and has done so well, let's face it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I have no issue with Jones starting the game. I don't think he was as effective today. And the front three, again, given who we've got available, if the injury Darwin had, we don't know how bad it was. He didn't show any signs of it, but it could have been a bit of an ask, a bit too big of an ask if he's not trained much as well, just to get him to play for 90 minutes. But God, we missed him. And this is the thing. I think the commentator said before the match that it's the first time we've started a game without either Nunez or Salah in the league this season.
Yeah.
And as harsh as I am with the lads that played, I can see, there are some mitigating circumstances, but I think there's nothing that mitigates for the performances that we did put in. That's the issue with me, that, with injuries, with players being tired, I think McAllister played too long today. I don't know why Thiago came on so late. If he's fit to play, why leave it so late? I don't understand the substitutions. I'm sure we'll come to them. But this is the thing. If we've not got the full quality that we need and the key plays that we're missing, yeah, you're going to be vulnerable. But my God, just put the effort in, lads. And this is the thing. This is why I'm mentioning McConnell, because there's a lad on the bench there that last week he did not take his place in this side for granted. He wanted to make an impression, and my God, he made an impression. Too many players today didn't think they needed to make an impression, and that's the most disappointing part for me.
I think that's really spot on. And in particular, our world class number 66. I just really was very, very disappointed in what he produced today. And again, like it's anyone saying, well, he's been out for what? Fine. Well, then he doesn't play. I love the McConnell shout, and we've had just nothing but positive feedback in respect of playing these guys and giving these kids a chance to do their job in their position. And I don't see what the aforementioned Dutch lad did to warrant selection in that situation.
I don't get why he's ahead of Elliott in the pecking order.
Makes no sense to me. I honestly don't see it. If it was we got to put this guy in because he's a physical unit and Klopp prefers those kind of lads, fine. But then you'd have to use that physicality, and the same applies to Cody. Sadly, we've said it too many times. Like I said, there was plenty of opportunity though for the subs to come on and do the business, and they didn't really do it either. But if we have a quick look at Arsenal before we get into the details of the match, where no doubt all this will come out, Guy, you and I might just take a sec to have a look at Lego Head's setup. He went with Raya. Looks like he's finally settled there. Ben White, Saliba and Gabriel and Zinchenko the far side. Jorginho, Rice and Odegaard, who sort of took it on himself to be chief cheerleader for the crowd, who were, very, very easily rattled, I thought. We could easily have spun it against them. It was really there for us to really rattle that lot. He needed to be, constantly reminding them what they were supposed to do. And they started with Saka, Havertz and Martinelli, and they had a lot of joy down the flanks. On the bench, they have Ramsdale, they have Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Kivior, who came on, Cedric, Trossard, who came on, Nelson, who came on, El Neni and Walters. Listen, there are a lot of good footballers there, Guy. We know that. Are they title challengers properly? Well, everyone will say today that they're probably favourites ahead of City. That's how strong the narrative is. Other people will say that now that's all City needed and they will cruise to the title. There will be huge amounts of whingers in the Liverpool fan base who will have thrown all their toys out of the pram and given up after this evening as well. You know that. I can't have you as one of those. I can't have it. Listen, there's a difference between people like, to be fair, Dave, who was saying from minute one, look, it's City's and they're going to probably do the job over the course of the season. It's hard to argue with that. I'm just being childishly defiant at that stage. But right now, at this stage, when you have the lead, it's very hard to see that we should be in any way defeatist about it. But let's take a look at Arsenal and what the way they went. I don't suppose there was too much really that was surprising in terms of that lineup, Guy.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Yeah, I think the only other thing they could have really done is Havertz could have played in midfield and they could have brought in someone like Nketiah or Trossard, who obviously has a good record against us. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think having Jorginho and Rice kind of as a two, it freed up Odegaard to press really high, which I don't think he's really had the opportunity to do this season whenever I've watched Arsenal, because obviously it's been Havertz in midfield all season, and I say he's an attacker. I still don't know what he is. Like 5 years he's been in England at two separate clubs. I have no idea what he actually is still. But yeah, it's probably without Thomas Partey there, it's probably their best team, and obviously, and Jesus, I should say as well. But I think it's just set up well to get at us. Like, unless we had Moore and Dom fit, I don't think there was much we could do to compete with that. Because even if we do bring in the Elliott and stuff like that, maybe if like our good players actually performed, it may have helped. But we'll get into that as we go. But I think he just picked the right team. It gave their powerful players just to bully our team, and I think that's what they did from minute one. I think they bullied us all of the first half. We had a little spell at the start of the second half, but I think they just ran over us.
I think that's the energy levels from them. Their pressing was far superior.
Yeah,
and you would expect that in the first half, particularly when they've got so much to play for. They lose today. The narrative would then suggest that they're done. But you know what? You make a really good point. And I'm going to bring it back full circle to Liverpool here, because this is a Liverpool fan podcast, and the way you talk there about how they were well set up to get at us. What is it, do you think, that is going through Jurgen and Pep Linder's mind when they say, you know what would really be good against Martinelli, who's so pacey and such a threat, and Saka, would be to make sure that we have Trent, who has been, let's say, lackluster at best in terms of most of his defensive work, or a lot of it. And ahead of him, who would be a really good sweeping man to cover up and down, high energy, great in the tackle? Oh yeah, let's get Ryan in there. It does actually make you wonder what the thinking was there. It's not as if they were surprised by the fact that Martinelli has got serious pace, and it was Martinelli against Ibu most of the time, because Ibu was having to come across and doing that job all the time. Of covering. So it can't really have been that much of a shock, and yet that's what caught us out, that side. And to be fair, Saka got a bit of joy on the other side too.
Yeah, I think you're right about our right hand side especially. It just, maybe it's in too much faith in Ibu. And to be fair to Ibu, considering Van Dijk had possibly his worst game in a Liverpool shirt as well, I know he got sent off, but he was probably still somehow our best defender on the day, which is impressive. Yeah. And shit at the same time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, because even Joe didn't have his most solid afternoon after a succession of very solid performances where he would have been close to man of the match. Jim, let's get started into this very uncomfortable afternoon for the Reds, and we'll go up as far as the concession of the goal and stop around there. So to be fair, Jota does have a little opportunity where he's almost through one-on-one with the keeper. Cody had done reasonably well to battle and sort of semi-hold the ball up. It's not entirely intentional, but it makes its way on to Jota, who's driving through. This is about 35 seconds in, but his touch is quite heavy. It runs away from him and towards the keeper. There were visions of his goal recently coming to mind, and it would have been an absolutely brilliant way to start, and probably an entirely different afternoon. Saka puts in a good cross on 3 minutes. Then he's 1v1 with Virgil, who forces him to shoot wide of the near post. Odegaard then is doing his rallying of the troops after we lost the ball a couple of times, and we were coughing up possession. A lot of it, Jim, was because they were very energetic in their press. A lot of it was because we were very, very profligate with our passing. On 11 minutes, there was actually a very good move by us, our first decent bit of football. And all it did was lead to a break from Martinelli, who skinned Ibu. And also, Saka then should steer his header home. It's a great chance. He puts over the cross after skinning Ibu, Martinelli does. And it looked like he had pace to burn, and he had legs on Ibu, which is, that's impressive, because Ibu's no slouch. So he gets his cross in. It's beautifully floated over his left foot, and honestly, Saka has a great opportunity. They should be 1-0 up at that stage. 12 minutes, we saw Mac with a through ball, very good one. He had some great passes today and a couple of decent efforts on goal as well. The ball is to Cody Gakpo. He takes one on from a distance that's low and comes across the face of goal. But all it took was another 2 minutes after that Saka chance for them to go ahead, and it is Saka again who finally puts them 1-0 up. There's a through ball to Havertz that kind of kills us. It's a first time ball pinged forward. Havertz is in acres. He's sort of inside of Ibu Konate, running into space that nobody's in. He takes a shot and he should do better with it, but Ali saves it, to his credit. It spills out though, and of course Saka is there first, and I wouldn't mind, but in the build up to the move, I could see Saka moving into his territory and wondering why nobody was accompanying him. It really got it's awful when you can see something from a field in rural Ireland that your Liverpool players can't see. Anyway, they go 1-0 up. Talk to us about that opening to the game. It was quite indicative of how the rest of the match would go, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that first minute when Jota had that moment where we thought, oh my God, is this how we're going to start the game? We're starting it this way. Is this how it's going to go? And it just sort of, that was it. That was like an absolute false dawn, as if ever you're going to see one in a game. I remember thinking that, you know, that they start games, their fans start games, they're all really excited and the place gets loud. And one of the things we need to do is sort of try to quieten them down. And you could see that even after sort of 6 minutes. I think that point where you say one of the players was trying to rally the fans, they just got excited because they'd won a throw in on the halfway line, because it was that kind of day for them at that moment. And I thought, you know, for all that the bullying us and all the rest of it, there's a sort of thing about Liverpool at times this season where we do seem to kind of sit back and say, come on then, have a go at us. You know, we'll just take it. We'll take the hits. Come and have a go at us. See what you can do. You're not going to get anywhere. Let them use up some of their energy. Let them think that they're going to get something out of it. And we just stand there resilient and off we go. Then it's sometime after that we'll go and kill them off. Maybe, 15, 20, 25 minutes into a game, we start to look interested, which at times I've thought of criticised them for, but it's happened so often, we started to wonder if it is a deliberate game plan to sort of look like you're not that interested, or maybe not to look not interested, but it looks to us like not interested. But just sit back, take some pressure, and then go for it a little bit later. Let them use up some energy. But I don't think it works against every team, and a team like Arsenal are just going to have energy the whole game. So maybe that sense doesn't work. And it's summed up a lot. I think that you mentioned where we had an effort, and then next thing you know, it led to them having a break, and it was just sort of end-to-end stuff for a minute. And that started with Raya catching the cross that we put in. And I think as much as he had nothing to do in terms of shots to save today, apart from that one effort on target, which I'm guessing might have even been the own goal, he had nothing really to do in terms of saving shots, but he did have a good game for them in terms of, like, for some reason, whenever we got the ball into the box, it just felt inevitable that he was going to catch it. Now, whether that's him having a good game or us just not thinking out the box a little bit and thinking this guy's going to catch the ball if we put that kind of shot in, that kind of cross in, I don't know. It just felt inevitable every time one of our balls went in that it was just going to be caught by him. And on the odd occasion it wasn't, they'd clear it. So and this kind of again sums up about today. It's just, by all means, try different things, but if something's clearly not working, try something else. And I just felt we kept going back to that a little bit too much on the odd occasion that we did actually seem to try and get the ball into the box. But yeah, I mean, it felt like the goal was coming. I know that, you do, as you said, McAllister had some amazing little balls today, some great little passes that, on another day, maybe with some other personnel, with some other attitude, it would have made a hell of a difference. I can't fault him today for his effort. That's for all the criticism we've had today. I think he's one player who gets, he's free from badminton rackets. He can go back to the shower. He doesn't have to get this overhead one of them. But it did feel it was going to happen. I mean, I've written down waiting for it to happen, working out, waiting, just waiting, soaking up pressure. I think it's unfortunate in some ways that Ali's save went to one of their players, but I think Ali normally, when he makes a save like that, knows that one of our other lads is going to be in and around the area right at that moment to get it behind for a corner or something, to get it away. But there wasn't anyone, like you say. It was just almost, some people might criticise Ali for saving it and making it go into that spot. Some people might say, don't just save it, get it over the bar, get it out of the way. I would say 9 times out of 10 with that effort, there'd have been one of our other defenders there waiting to mop up. And there wasn't. And that, again, there's just these little cameos of the game today that just spoke in so many different ways about how we just weren't at the races today. Still, 14 minutes in, plenty of time to turn things around. And I thought, right, whatever we've tried, if we've decided to soak up the pressure, it's not worked. There's plenty of time to get back at them, get a goal, quieten them down, get their fans rattled, because they're rattled so easily, they go quiet so easily. We can easily turn this round. Come on, lads, let's go for it. Could get a minute to half time. I'm still thinking, come on, lads, go for it. And it didn't happen. And it's frustrating. That first 15 minutes, as I've said, yeah, not a surprise how it sort of unfolded. Not a surprise that they scored because of the way we played. So much time left, and that to me is the frustration.
You would like to think that on an afternoon where Ali maybe isn't at his very best, I'm not sure how much we can really blame him, actually, having looked back at a few things. Certainly not, as you say, he's made the save. You would like to think that lads would step up and actually, when Virgil and Ali are having their like one shit game of the century together, or certainly Virgil's having his anyway, that somebody else would say, listen, lads, you've saved us loads of times. Don't worry about it. We'll just double our efforts up and do a bit better. But that did not happen, as you say. And, Guy, we can actually take it through the rest of the first half, because what happened straight away after conceding the goal wasn't that, we rallied in any way, shape or form. In fact, Trent is caught pricking about at the back, loses the ball. Havertz is in, plays in Odegaard, who should do better. Virgil blocks the shot. But it's another opportunity. And that's 3 now that they should have, including the goal. They could theoretically be 3 up. There's a yellow on 24 minutes for Joe Gomez, who's stopping a counter high up the field. Their press from Arsenal is excellent at this point, much and all as I hate to give them or Lego Head credit. We looked a little bit rattled by how eager they were to get to the ball first, how strong they were in terms of winning second balls. There was a little bit of a decent pass in by Trent on 27 to Cody, but he couldn't get there. A cross then by Trent blocked, which won a corner on 27. And Virgil was first to it, but he heads it over the top. A yellow for Ben White, time wasting on the half-hour mark. On 37, after a free, the ball broke to Gabriel. He had a low shot, which was well saved and actually also held by Ali. And 3 minutes were added to the end of the first half. And most of us are thinking at that stage, let's just get them in and let's see the inevitable changes at halftime, which did not come and possibly did not come as a result of what happened in those 3 minutes of added time. They actually had a half-decent move on the 45-minute mark, a good move. Jorginho played in Martinelli, and Martinelli should have scored. Again, that's 4 very, very good chances for Arsenal. But what happened instead is, on 47 minutes, there was a ball played forward by Gravenberch into the space ahead of Luis Diaz. Diaz is brilliantly persistent. He bullies the much vaunted Saliba and gets a touch on the ball to hook it back right into the mixer. And Gabriel, who's going sort of backing up, managed to turn around and delightfully palm the ball into his own net. It's absolutely bizarre. We go in level without having registered a shot on target. We only get 1 in the second half on target. It's absolutely against the run of play that we're level. But Jurgen has his opportunity to take advantage and really rattle them by making the changes at halftime that would have made hopefully a bit of a difference a bit earlier. They didn't actually, even when he did make them, to be fair. But who knows what happens if he changes up at halftime. He doesn't do that. So talk to us around the goal that we scored, anything from the rest of the first half or any one from the rest of the first half that you want to pick out. It like both you and Jim have said, it's easier to pick out the lads who actually did something right than the other crew.
Yeah, our goal, I mean, it was probably the only time in that first half that we passed the ball forward quickly. Like, whenever we were lucky enough to be on the ball, which wasn't very often, it was just tippy-tappy shit at the back between Van Dijk, Konate, and occasionally McAllister, who was getting pressed by about 4 people. So we just never seemed to adjust. I mean, I feel like, not to say this is Jones's fault, we obviously made the little tactical shift at half-time when Jones and McAllister played a bit closer to each other. I feel like stuff like that, like I know footballers don't really take responsibility is probably the wrong word, but responsibility to make a change themselves. But we can clearly see we're struggling to get on the ball at all, never mind play forward. Like Trent or Jones need to help there. Like just in that entire half is help McAllister. Like I know Gomez was doing the inverting into midfield thing. I don't know why it was him over Trent. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Obviously you want someone close to Martinelli, but Trent was playing close to Martinelli, and it was still Ibu's job to defend Martinelli. So it just made no sense. It just felt like Trent wasn't doing anything. Just take it upon yourself, or if Trent was on the near side to Klopp, just go, should I help McAllister here? Or whoever the hell. It just took too long to make even little changes. Like, it doesn't have to be a sweeping free subs at a point to make an impact in a game. You can just do little tweaks, and it just never happened in that half. But the goal itself, Gravenberch passes the ball forward quickly for once. That's how we play. We have Trent, we have Van Dijk, we have Dom usually, and McAllister, who will pass the ball forward quickly and effectively. And it took Grav till the 48th minute or whatever it was to actually play the ball behind their back line, and it gives something for Diaz to run onto. Now, they should have defended it a lot better and pretty easily, and that's the disappointing thing. Like, I think you mentioned Ray has finally settled. He's still not very good. Like, I know he had quite a nice day today because he got to claim crosses, but he's had no pressure. There was no Van Dijk or Ibu trying to monster him in the air. It was just all stuff me or you could have done. It was just such an easy day. Like, and I think if Dave was on here now, he'd be saying, pressure Saliba. Like, he's made a mistake there. I know half-time was instantly after, but even when we started the second half a little bit better, we didn't really pressure them at all. We had the ball a little bit more, but get in the face, try and make Gabriel, who we know is a bit rash at times, make him make a mistake. To be fair, he should have been sent off, so maybe he did, but we'll come to that later on. But after the second half, after the lucky goal, we never really... one shot on target, and I think it was a P-roller from McAllister, if I remember correctly. Like, that's a keeper who's been under pressure all season, and we just may well have had him in a deck chair, letting him watch the game. So, stuff like that's just, like, even, like, McAllister was the only one who took a shot from distance. Test him. We're playing shit. Have a dig. It can go in. And our set pieces are getting worse, because sometimes you need a shit set piece goal to just help the lads out. It's going to that stage again where we can't beat the first man, or if it does, it's that crap. It might as well have just been a pass to the goalkeeper. Like, I know we score an amount of goals from set pieces, but considering the lads we have taking corners, Jesus, they need to get better. But just in terms of performances in that half, like, I think Van Dijk and Ali would more talk about in the second half because of the mistakes they made. Trent, we've kind of alluded to, but I genuinely hope he's unfit because it'd be an excuse.
Yeah. Because
that was pathetic. This is a lad, talent-wise and ability-wise, is probably one of the best players in the league. Best players in the world. He should be. But if you're throwing such toys out the pram baby fit that, I have to play right back and I can't be arsed, fuck off. I'm not saying leave the club, but just sit on the bench and grow up. You've just watched a 20-year-old lad have 2 man-of-the-match performances back-to-back there. Wake up. Like, just wake up. My echoes just woke up in the background there. If you want to be a midfielder, like, have that conversation with Klopp. Maybe he has. We obviously won't know, and we'll have to wait till whatever the new manager thinks in the summer. But you can't be vice captain of Liverpool, Scouser in the team, and have that much of a stinky attitude towards defending.
So you can see that it's not just me.
No.
You can see an attitudinal thing there where there's sort of, it's not just, we don't have to be body language police or whatever, but it's like, I'd rather just at least be high energy, for fuck's sake.
But that's the thing, like, not everyone's high energy. There's lethargic people in the world, but you watch him, it's like, his first thought to me is, I'll pass him on to Ibu. It's like, I know Martinelli's not had a good season, but I think him and Trossard have scored the most goals against Liverpool since Klopp's time here. I think that I might be right in saying that. Like, at least fucking help Canate, for fuck's sake. Like, it's just so nice, because just watching it, sometimes we've forgiven it because he'll do something magical on the ball. But at least give a shit. We put Diaz at right back whilst we were 10 men down, and he tried harder. Diaz had all the excuses in the world to not give a fuck because the game was over. We were down to 10 men. We had a centre-back partnership of Van Dijk and Robertson. He was still giving a toss at right back. Why can't you do it from the start? And if that's going to be your attitude playing right back, like, we might have to have... certain games it'll be fine because we play Burnley next week, for instance, but they have dangerous wingers. You can't go easy on them either. There'll be certain games where you can just stroll about at right back and we won't have much defending to do. But there's always moments and stuff like that. But if he wants to be a midfielder that much, just put him there. But make him understand he has to earn it above McAllister, above Szoboszlai, above Jones. And Endo's back now, or should be back later this week because they got knocked out the other day. Ability-wise, he's probably our best player. But you can't play like that against an Arsenal team where we could have killed them in the title race today. And Trent's a good enough player, whether he's playing in goal, at right back, at centre mid, at right wing, he can win a game on his own. We've seen it. The Fulham game, like a month ago, he basically won us that game.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I know we scored worldies in it, but yeah, you can't have that shit an attitude towards defending. Like, you can have a poor game defensively, but that little effort defending, you just can't.
That Fulham game, though, I think when he won us the game is because he got moved into midfield, hadn't he?
Well, yeah.
And again, I don't know what he's being told. Is he being told go into midfield whenever you want? Is he being told what the circumstances are? There was a bit of telling off from the sidelines, wasn't there, about players? And I don't know if he was being told not to wander or what. But yeah, you're right. Someone said to me after the game, asking whether Van Dijk is a good captain for Liverpool, and my answer to that was, well, yes, but everyone has a bad day, and if your captain's having a bad day, then you need one of your other leaders to step in and kind of, be a leader for him, do his job for him in terms of the leadership. He needs the arm around the shoulder kind of thing, and I didn't see anyone doing that for Virgil. Whether that was Trent when he was on, or that was Robbo when he was on. And Ali, again, another one of our leaders having a bad day, and I think that's one of the jobs Trent's got. He's vice captain now. And when he can see it's not going well, this thing about leading by example. And if you want to be compared to one of the best scousers in our team down the years, it's Steven Gerrard. And he had his times when he wasn't keen on being played in certain positions and stuff. But I think the bottom line with him was when he knew that he had to do a job in a certain place and we needed him to do a job in a certain place, he did it. And ironically, one of the standout occasions that happened was in Istanbul when he had to go and play right back. This midfielder who liked to be a sort of attacking midfielder had to play right back, and he did it. He did it well, and we ended up coming home with big ears for the 5th time. So, whatever position you've been asked to play, you've just got to be, and it's as I was saying with McConnell before, you should be so glad you've got the chance to wear that red shirt from the start of a game. It shouldn't matter. The only time you should have a complaint maybe is if you've been handed the green shirt because you've been asked to go in the goal and it's not your position. Other than that, play wherever you put and do your absolute best. And if you do that and it doesn't work out great, it's not going to be your fault. It's not going to be you that's going to have the fingers pointed at you for having a bad game because you put everything into it. It's the boss who'll be in trouble then for putting you there in the first place. He's no excuse, has he? I just expect more from him. And as you say, I hope it is injury. I hope that is what's done it. I put him down as rusty. That was my nicest way of doing it. But, Rusty has it. I don't know. But yeah, there's not many players today that can say, I've not got to make any improvements next time I play.
Well, as he eyes up a finite number of games left, wearing the ball cap and long coat and prowling the touchline, you can't say that Jurgen Klopp is rusty. He decides, however, in his wisdom, not to put anyone on at halftime, despite the absolutely abysmal showing. And Jim, to be fair, they do make a change. They bring on Kiwior for Zinchenko. And to be fair, Guy mentioned earlier on the idea of these passers that we've got. We're all used to seeing these brilliant diags from Virgil. Ibu's got one in his locker as well. Obviously, Trent can ping those quarterback passes. But we didn't see that. We didn't see fellas holding position high up the field, and that ball that we're so used to seeing out to Diaz or out to whoever's on the far flank. Usually Salah, but whoever's there for him today, and holding the ball up and, bringing others into play and that kind of thing. The idea of the fast ball forward, where we can actually stretch defences, and people were saying, well, we needed Nunez's pace. Well, like, Jota's no slouch and Diaz can shift it. Okay, Gakpo's not exactly the quickest lad in the world, but there were options there to do that. We just weren't doing that. And the manager decided not to make any changes, which is weird, and you'll probably no doubt mention that yourself as we look at the first chunk of this first half. They do make that change, we said, and it does start reasonably positive from us. Luis Diaz, with a raiding run from pretty much the start, cuts in and has a shot blocked. There were other options, but anyway, at least it was intent. A long range hit from Mac in 45 minutes, decent sort of a dig. Another good cross by Luis Diaz on 47 minutes. And it looks like we've got our tails up on 47. Curtis cut in from the left, back onto his right foot and curled one narrowly wide. And it is indeed looking very, very promising in those opening minutes. And I'm starting to think, well, that just goes to show you never question the manager. What have you ever done, Trev? Your opinion is silly. You're a silly boy. However, that was as good as it got, because straight away after that, we saw Jota being assaulted and Anthony Taylor playing on. And what it did was it allowed them to have a little bit of a rousing moment. And from that point on, to be fair, the game was kind of gone. Ibu was very good against Havertz on 50 minutes because he had to be. Trent pissing about again, loses the ball soon after that. They attack, and he is absolutely nowhere. We need Ibu to block the ball for a corner on 52 minutes. There's a yellow for the aforementioned Frenchman on 54, where he's 1v1 with Havertz, and he has to take one for the team. On 55, Gabriel sort of head, shoulders, and Odegaard free wide. And on 56, Gabriel himself picks up a yellow card. At that stage, Jim, we change it, and we'll take it right up as far as where they go 2-1 up, because we change it on 56. Darwin, Harvey, Robbo all coming on to the field for Cody, for Trent, for Gravenberch. And the response is that Saka has a shot that's blocked or deflected out for a corner in 60 minutes. Luis Diaz does have a shot saved after a good Jota break in 61. Mac has to do a very, very big intervention against Havertz on 63 minutes. It's wonderful work by McAllister, but of course it goes to Coote at VAR, and Coote over in the VAR little area decides to take about 7,000 looks at it. It's absolutely comically awful that he would be trying. You know he was desperate to give a penalty. There was nothing to be given. It was just really good intervention by McAllister, but of course he took ages about it, made us sweat. Eventually couldn't find anything to justify giving it. And even when you hear all of the Sky pundits saying, yeah, there's nothing there, there must be genuinely nothing there. And then we managed to go 2-1 down. It's a clown show of a setup. It's Alisson and Van Dijk involved as Martinelli scores. The ball is hit forward, and Virgil sort of, as he's travelling back towards Ali, he kind of neither lets Ali take it nor intervenes. And in fact, all he seems to do is ease Ali out of the way, and he ends up air kicking the ball, which of course allows it to break for Martinelli to just roll it in. It's a clown show of a goal. I would be inclined to give almost all of the blame there to Virgil in terms of who's at fault for it. And it's very, very dispiriting. That's on 66. Take us through the opening part of that second half, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the subs, I agree. I just thought we should already been decided. We should already know what changes we're going to make at half time at that point. And other than an injury or something that makes you change what your plans are going to be, then those changes should have still taken place. And it was a fiasco on their part that got us back level. So we can't look at that and go, oh, you know what, we're going to come good now. We've just been unlucky so far. There you go. That was luck. It was luck that got us back level, and we were undeservedly level at half time. As I said before, Gravenberch put the ball through. That's about the only thing of worth I can remember from him in the whole game. And I said he shouldn't be playing the second half. And the other side to it as well, if there's one thing the goal did do, it should have reinforced the idea to bring Darwin on, because a bit of chaos in the box for them, and we score. Now it's their own self-inflicted chaos, but we score. So get Darwin on, because one of the things that we use about Darwin, one of the words we use is chaos. He makes such a difference. He's the player that'll go and press them and get them to panic in their own box, rather than it being us that was doing all the panicking, which is what happened today. He can be a bully. None of our players were doing any bullying today. We were just being bullied. And I just thought, you can't use that goal as an excuse to not change things. And if you don't think you need to change things after that first 45 minutes, because I'm pretty sure the goal was scored in injury time, then no wonder you're leaving at the end of the season. And that's being a bit cruel to say that about Klopp. Klopp knew, he would have known that he had to change it. So what made them decide to persevere a bit longer, I don't know, except, as you say, that first 5 minutes, there's two things I thought Klopp would have needed to do at half time before the equaliser. One of them is come up with some changes, and two of them is to get the badminton racket out. I keep using that one. They needed to be told that it wasn't working. They needed some tweaks on how they played. They needed some adjustments in attitude. They needed to be warned that they're going to get hooked if there isn't an improvement soon. And that's if they weren't brought off straight away at half time. And it felt like maybe that had happened. They'd had the stinging in the ear. First 5 minutes, it just looked like we'd finally found our mojo. It was more like the Liverpool side you expect to see. And okay, when we're in such an attacking mode like that, there's always a worry we're going to leak something at the back. But I would rather us do that. I'd rather us be going for goals and risk conceding something than what we did in the first half, where we didn't risk anything other than conceding, but with no, it was all risk and no reward really first half, and no attempt for reward. But yeah, it was a good start. It was looking good. 5 minutes later, then they're suddenly remembering it's their ground. They should be playing better than they are, and they suddenly remembered themselves, and maybe we started to forget ourselves again. And you can see the changes coming as well. You can see it took a while before they actually happened, but they were getting ready for a while. And even that didn't really make a difference to the players on the pitch. One last chance to get him to change his mind. The booking for Konate, I felt was unfair. I didn't think it was a booking. Felt to me it's one of those 6 to 1, half a dozen of the others, where you maybe, you'll give a free kick one way or the other, but a booking just felt really harsh. But never mind, that would play a part later on in the game. But the thing is, once you booked, you're booked, so that's it. You play like a player who's booked, because if you do anything similar again, you're off. So can't complain about the second yellow, but the first definitely shouldn't have been one. But still, should have behaved better with, should have sort of been more aware of it really. And that includes the manager, because I think sometimes you've got to look and think, is this a risk having him on when he's on a yellow playing in this sort of a game? Is it worth bringing another lad on? Kwanzaa's decent at centre back. To be honest, I wouldn't have had any qualms bringing him on today. But yeah, none of the substitutions really worked in terms of, I think by the time we got the substitutions, we just took a while to sort of settle into these changes. Robbo's rusty, he's not played for ages. It was like Gomez was on the other side of the pitch now. Darwin was on. It just felt like it took us too long to sort of settle in. Elliott wasn't really, he's good, but he wasn't getting the ball. And it's almost as if like everything's about looking forward, but nothing about looking back. And covering things at the back, and we just didn't sort of prepare for them coming at us. And it was no surprise in the end that the second goal came. But the surprise was how it came. I looked at my first sort of impression was the two of them hadn't spoken to each other. It was as if they'd both gone, yeah, you have it, no, you have it, no, you have it, and neither of them had it. They both ignored it. But when I look back at the replay, I thought it looked to me as though Virgil was saying to Ali, go on, I'm sort of shepherding this towards you a little bit. I'm stopping this player from getting to the ball. Out you come and get it. Except it's as if it didn't get there quick enough. Arsenal were complaining, weren't they, after the Anfield game about the pitch being too wet. Maybe the pitch was too dry and it didn't get there quick enough. But the thing is, there's got to come a point in that moment where you're Virgil van Dijk and you look and you think, he's not going to get to this in a good way where he can make a good connection with it. I need to just hoof this into Rose Ed. And he didn't. He trusted Ali to get it. I don't know what it was. Was it a bad bounce? What it was? But when you look at the replay, Ali looked like he was going to get it, but then he was surprised. And I just think it's a lack of communication. And if it was any other players in the squad, I'd be fuming with them. But given what they've both done for us down the years, I don't think those two need telling off for that moment. I think they'll be gutted. They'll be quiet all the way home. It's one of those things. It happens in football. What's frustrating is shit happens. It's how you react to it. It's how we've done so well under Klopp. We react to shit happening to us. The reaction just wasn't there again.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
The reaction wasn't there again, and I'd love to say that the reaction came, Guy, after the concession of that sloppy goal, and we realised that we needed to rally and dig out our lads at the back for their atypical sort of laxness. But really nothing worth a damn happens between now and Virgil deciding that he wants to do another bit of a fuck up just before the afternoon's over. So let's build towards that exciting conclusion, you and I, and see the game out. So, Jim, when I come back to you next, mate, it'll be for your wrap-up thoughts and plugs and all that kind of stuff. There is yet another one of those Mac long shots on 68 minutes, Guy, and then Kivior picks up a yellow on 70. Trossard comes on, note that, for Martinelli on 73 minutes. And there's another Mac effort on 75 where it's a low-driven volley just narrowly wide of the post. He is easily our most attacking threat in terms of efforts at goal, and that should be telling you a lot about how the game has gone. On 78, they bring on Nelson for Saka. And on 83, Darwin has his only real moment of threat where he sort of gets in at the near post and has a little bit of rush of blood to the head and blasts it high and wide off the top corner in the near post when he could have easily got his shot on target or pulled it back across the face. Thiago comes on for Joe Gomez on 84, which is, of course, like I suppose if you're trying to pick up positives, is good. But
the only positive.
Yeah, the only positive. But then again, like he doesn't actually have any magical Thiago moments either. So it's how positive is it really?
Him walking is a magical moment, Trev.
Some people will take joy from that. So let's lean into that for them. For me, this is an entirely wretched afternoon. So I find it very hard to find any positives anywhere. 87 minutes, Ibu blocked the counter attack and picks up his second yellow. Jim mentioned that first one was harsh, but it's a tackle that you can't make if you're on a yellow card, and he goes
unless you're Gabriel.
Unless you're Gabriel, which we know that he pretty much gets away with the fate that Ibu has. Darwin picks up a yellow because he is wrestled to the ground by Gabriel, and he responded with some annoyance, and Anthony Taylor is such a prima donna that he decides he's going to book Darwin for dissent as opposed to noticing the assault that took place right under his nose. 7 minutes were added just to torture us. Saliba does pick up a yellow, and on 91, and Rice gets one later on as well. On 91, it's 3-1. It's Trossard, the substitute. Now, we spoke earlier on, and you spoke earlier on about, giving a shit and making an effort. And Luis Diaz went back to right back, and at least he was making an effort. But he's also shit as a right back. And Harvey is very shit as a right midfielder. And we've said a million times that Harvey is not a midfielder. It just says a lot that he's probably better than Grav there at the moment. But when it comes to the defensive part of the game, he just can't do it. And Trossard gets in between both Harvey and Luis Diaz. And he bombs down towards goal. And as he's making his way towards that near post coming in from the left wing, Virgil's in that Virgil position that he's always in. And you're thinking, I'd like you to make your intervention any time now, lad. And he does eventually make his intervention. We've seen it a million times. So credit where it's due. We understand what we're seeing here. This is Virgil van Dijk. He times these things to perfection. He's a fraction out this time. And instead of getting the last minute block in where we still have some injury time left and it's a rousing moment, instead he gets his timing of his intervention wrong. The ball comes off his foot, having been driven at goal by the substitute Trossard. And that deflection is enough to put it between Ali's legs, who's sort of trying to make himself big to block Ali's shot. It's tremendously unfortunate in some way. It's also, I think, another mistake because it's just not executed properly by Virgil. We have to be honest. But again, I feel like letting Ali off the hook here, to be perfectly honest, because it is a deflection. I'm not sure we can, people will make the story about the two lads, confusion and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's mostly Virgil just having a bit of a stinker this afternoon. Which I suppose every footballer is entitled to. It's just like we have already said a few times. If we had anyone doing anything, maybe registering more than one shot on target, we probably could have lived with those mistakes and come away there today with a 3-3 draw or something like that. But because we offered zero by way of attacking threat, really, we were so shit that everything that happens to the far end has massive consequences, and that's how it proved.
Yeah, the result is dreadful, but the performance is 10 times worse. That's probably how I'd word it. It's just losing is always unacceptable because then you get us on podcasts calling people out and stuff like that. But the performance, we mentioned at the start, it's everything we accused Chelsea of in the middle of the week. It just stank. And that's the main takeaway. I didn't think this was in this team anymore, but I suppose with that many people missing and key players missing, maybe it is still there. But yeah, I think that the third goal for them, it's just a cluster of crap from everyone on that right-hand side. Ali should save it, but it does take a deflection, so I'll back him there. But no, Van Dijk just doesn't really defend it at any point. But I think the issues are just before that as well. We have no one with a defensive bit of DNA on that right hand side playing, and it just kind of goes through them. But you mentioned it there. We played awful. you said 3-3 there, but if Ali and Van Dijk play well, that's a 1-1 draw. Somehow that would be a 1-1 draw if our two main lads in defence didn't screw up. It's kind of annoying, and it would have been very reminiscent of the FA Cup game where we somehow won, but it showed what Arsenal are. I think they had like 3.5 XG or whatever the hell stat is. I'm sure the UP lads will go in, but it took us self-imploding to win them their game again, which is, I suppose, a positive and a negative to take from us.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that, yeah.
It's a weird one. So let's go we beat ourselves rather than Arsenal beat us, eh? That's how good we are. We can only beat ourselves. But no, it's just annoying. Like, it's just, that goal was just, we were never in a million years scoring. So the game was lost at 2-1, barring someone putting another goal in their own net for them. So the third goal, who gives a shit, really?
Yeah, it is a shame though, isn't it, that we can have Darwin to come on, and we can make and Harvey to come on, and we can bring Robbo on, and we can bring Thiago on, and the miracle that is that, and we can still be entirely toothless. It did feel a little bit disappointing, and adds to the whole narrative of, well, we kind of beat ourselves because we played like just not even a fraction of competent. Whereas I think you get the impression if we had been, and this is what you were pretty much saying, if we had been at least competent, then it is a 1-1 draw and they're sick, and we get to hang on and sweat through the City game tomorrow and hope for a miracle. As it is, we're just going to have to, probably just grin and bear it as they ease past, which is fucking infuriating.
That's the thing. It's just City having 2 games in hand now. You just sat there, just like the inevitableness of like Ryan Gosling memes. You just sat off staring into space, just like it's happening. It's happening again, isn't it? Like I don't want to be that defeatist, but you just look at it like City 2 games in hand, and we lose. As I said, losing to Arsenal, it can happen. It happens. But you just look at it like, City, you've been shit all season, and they've got 2 games in hand against a shit Brentford team, who hopefully I'm now jinxing into winning tomorrow night. So you're just like, oh God, piss off.
Yeah, it's so bad. We are all, as you say, we are all basically variations of Pablo Escobar on a swing seat.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the weekend progresses. But I will be back to you for your wrap up thoughts and plugs. I know that you have a million shows that you could shout out. So I'll let you prep for that, and Jim and I'll get his final wrap-up assessment. It's a tough one to take, Jim, on so many levels. The reality of it is that as we look at the table now, it's probably not just as awful as everybody is trying to insist. We still have that situation where we've put ourselves in a good position. We really could have done with getting something out of this. At least by the draw, you're denying them 2 points as much as missing out on 2 points yourself. That was a huge part of it. It does feel it's quite dispiriting, this one, and you would like to think the rally will happen, but then you'd like to have thought the rally would happen today on the pitch, and it just didn't. So a little bit of anxiety, I think, be creeping into some lads, especially the more pessimistically minded, that, you know, have we shot our shot? That kind of panic is definitely what Sky want to encourage, at least.
Oh yeah, I mean, with Sky, you've got. They love to build every weekend up as a title decider, don't they? And then the next weekend, funnily enough, as if last weekend never happened, it's another title deciding weekend. They love to do that, and that kicks off, doesn't it? As soon as the transfer window's shut, it kicks off, and it's every weekend's a title decider. And that's, I mean, ideally for them, it goes down to the last day, so they can plug and get the betting sponsors to pay even more money to sponsor ads during the game and after the game and so on. So. They love it, but we as fans, we just try and take every game as it comes, or we should. And it was hard to take that game as it came, but we have to sort of be, I think we've got to try and be positive. And when I say we, I mean fans. I think as a squad, as a club, as players, and all the Klopp's staff and all the players in front of him, all the players available to him, they have got to be positive. That to say, look, the last time we lost, the only time we lost this season up until now, wasn't far away from where we were today. That was dodgy day with dodgy refereeing. Our reaction that day was amazing. Reaction today wasn't. We've played with a weakened squad for I don't know how long. We've had players missing for injuries. We've had players maybe playing too many games because players are missing. We've obviously had the international duty, so we've lost a couple of key players. What a difference today might have been if we'd had Endo on the bench, for example, or Endo even starting. So, there's still a bit of a time to go in this season. We've played 23 games. There's 38 games in the season. We're a good way through it, and we're still in the lead. It feels like this was, if this people sort of use racing analogies for league titles, and if we're running around, we're running around that track. I don't know how many laps there are, but we've kind of had a little bit of a stumble here, and everyone's cheering, thinking we're going to fall over. We don't have to fall over. We just stumbled a bit. We stumbled because we're a little bit tired and we're a little bit sore and a little bit under the weather. We've worked so hard, but that stumble, I hope, is the great big slap around the face that says to us, come on, don't lose it now. Get yourself back up. Throw everything into this. This is the last run. It's and Klopp's. It's Klopp's last time with us. I feel like the players will react for him. The first two games, I know they were at home. I was worried there might be a slump after Klopp's announcement, but the first two games told me that wasn't the case. Today, a bad day. We've had bad days all through the season, and we've managed to come out of it okay. We had a bad game against Fulham, but we rallied and we came back and won that game. There's plenty of other games you can go through this season where that's happened. It was always going to be difficult to play a team like Arsenal, just like it's always going to be difficult to play a team like Man City. These are genuine title contenders, but so are we. We're still in the lead. In terms of today's game, I don't think the third goal is worth any analysis. I mean, we had two defenders on the pitch. We're still trying to chase an equaliser. It was deflected. I'm no more gutted that it was 3-1 than I would have been with 2-1 at that point, in all honesty. I was just gutted. And to be honest with you, I'd have probably been gutted with the 2-2 in terms of the performance. And I'd have been happy if we'd have somehow managed to snatch a win, but I'd have been exactly the same, that those players still needed that, those strong words to be had with them about it. But at least if we'd have done that, would have shown we'd have rallied. Ref, it's so bad from us that a ref can have a bad day and we hardly give him a mention. I want to say bad day by his standards. It wasn't that bad. He actually did a rare thing. He went back and booked one of theirs after playing an advantage. He booked one of theirs for time wasting. These things don't usually happen with him or with referees in general. But, as I said, I don't think the first Canate yellow was a good one. I think that was dodgy. That was unfair. That was harsh. But once you've had the booking, it doesn't matter. When we benefited from that this season, we played centre against us who'd had already on a yellow. You can complain all they want how harsh it is. Once it's been done, it's done. You're on a yellow. The ref's not going to suddenly take that off you and let you off later on. I still don't understand why we took Gomez off, but it was so late in the game. I don't know why we left it so late to take Gomez off to bring Thiago on. If he's fit to play any part in the game, at least give him a chance to do something in it. Otherwise, why risk him for 5 minutes? Risk him going having another injury again in such an intense game. If you don't want to bring him on for a reasonable part of time, just don't bring him on at all. I still don't get that. I don't understand that. But we've said Virgil maybe had a bad day. Ali had a bad day. Lots of other players had bad days. And I'll be honest, I think Klopp and Pep had a bad day today. I don't think they really thought this well. I think they were out-tacticked. Is that a word? They were outdone. But then, as much as we might worry about where it is, we've been this season time and again. We've had times where we've played badly, but we've found the reaction. We've found the way to do it. We are struggling with players who are injured. We've mentioned Robbo coming back from however long. Trent today coming back from however long. McAllister today, he looked worn out by the end. He played so well today, but he's missed games. But that, to me, I feel like we're coming to an end of that spell now. Next time Robbo plays, next time Trent plays, they've had a few more minutes under the belt. Hopefully they'll play a lot better. Hopefully the others will. We'll have Salah back before too long. Endo will be back. Gravenberch can then go back to the academy or wherever he should be going for the time being, and we can start recovering. And I don't think we'd have been as sure that the season's over for a team losing a game if the team who'd lost a game was City. I think we'd have said City had lost a game today, they can still get back into it. Well, why can't we? I still think we can. It was a really bad day, an awful day, and we've got a week to dwell on it. But it's a week off, a week to go and sort things out and turn things around again. And at the end of the season, if we have only lost these 2 games, we'll have won the league. It's still in our hands.
It is, and like you say, it's even just the concept of getting back into it is, like we still sit top. The games ahead, I believe, are Burnley, Brentford. The Luton game was postponed or rearranged. We've got Chelsea in the EFL Cup final. We then will have a 5th round FA Cup tie. We got Forest, then it's City and Everton. And you could have a situation where on the back of a few wins there, we're going into the City game with the ability to, even if City have overhauled us at that point, we're back with a situation to put the league in our own hands. It's a monumental match then, theoretically, if we manage to just get back on track. And it's just a matter of getting back on track, isn't it, Jim, as opposed to any radical shift. And we do have to allow a little bit of reality to creep in that we've been badly wounded by not having Mo Salah available, by having Dom Szoboszlai come back for a little minute and look great and then just be out again, by having Darwin Núñez pick up that injury, which meant he couldn't even start today. So a lot of things have kicked us in the face there today. It's about how the team reacts to the next match, and like you pointed out earlier on, that has generally been very good. So just any final thought then, and do give us an idea of what's coming up for you in that week that you mentioned that we have between now and the next fixture.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, if you want to sort of forget today happened, go and listen to the last Scouts of Tommy's, because we were so full of happiness and optimism, and pretend today never happened. Just convince yourself it never happened. But if you're a realist and you can't do it, just wait till next week. We'll do another one again at the end of the week. And I'm sure it'll be a great week. Because Everton drew yesterday and they're now safe and everything else, and we lost, so we've clearly thrown everything away. So it'll be quite good fun listening to them crowing about briefly being out of the relegation zone. Let's face it, that's what it came down to. So Scouts of Tommy's at some point towards the end of the week with me and Jay, and that's it. I think that's something to look forward to. We'll get our optimism and our enthusiasm back, won't we? And I'm sure our lads will. I'm sure our squad will. That's my thing. It's a bad day, but you have bad days. I've been a Liverpool fan long enough to know that it's very unusual to go a whole season without losing. It's what you do after you lose that matters, and I'm confident with these lads.
Yeah, it's the one thing that Drury said today that made any sense to me, is that you would write Liverpool off at your peril, especially this iteration of Liverpool under Klopp, with all the emotion in the world driving that lot forward, wanting to do it for the boss, do it for themselves. There's every reason, I think, to be optimistic. Like I say, we still sit top. We've got favourable fixtures ahead. Who knows what way things can pan out. And if we get to that City game neck and neck, then watch out is what I would say. That's Jim, and we should mention as well, it'll be Jim and Dave and I for the next Raw for that game that's coming up next. What did we say it was? Burnley at Anfield. And we should just say as well, best of wishes to Dave, who's obviously normally a fixture here on Raw, but is feeling pretty shitty at the moment. Been knocked out by a bit of a dose. I'll apologise for my nasal sound as well. I've got something knocking around for the last couple of weeks, which is incredibly infuriating. But anyway, all the best wishes to Dave. Hopefully he'll be back churning out that content you love during the week, and back fighting fit for us, Jim and himself and I, to talk about that Burnley game, and hopefully be talking about a win. But Guy, let us get your thoughts as you wrap up. Rare pleasure to hear you in the analyst chair, and it's, I have to say, always very enjoyable to hear your thoughts in that regard. What can you say to sort of finalise, to wrap up our show here, and do give a plug to a few of the things that you'll be involved in, whether on the mic or behind it?
Arteta's still a shitter.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with that. Anthony Taylor has no hair.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's enough hair puns. You've mentioned it there. Let's get to that City game with all the lads back, even Thiago, more than walking, I'm touching wood, don't worry. With a cup in our hand and a perfect Lego on the mind. Perfect record. Jesus Christ, Mikel, what have you done? Perfect record in the league, a cup in hand, and that City game, I believe it's Anfield. Yeah, it is at Anfield, isn't it?
It is.
Ramp that bitch up to 11, win that. Pep puns, back on hair, he's bald and all. Make that game, Christ, a send-off for Klopp, I don't know, that's too early for that, but make that game absolutely mental. Let's get to the point where that game is everything.
I don't know, Guy. I don't know what you think, but I think if it's been neck and neck, and we go ahead, or we happen to hang on to our lead and we beat City on the 9th of March, I know you're right. It's too early and it'll still be too tight. But for me, the league is won.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
I would not. I don't know how you take it off this lot at that stage. If we get there and get that win, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to wrestle it away from us.
Well, you think on paper, at least, that was our hardest game remaining. Like City at home, we know our home record. I'd say City, probably most people agree, City are better than Arsenal, but Anfield's magical. So
even more magical with the new stand as well. It's so much louder.
Will it be fully open by then as well?
It's gotta be.
You'd hope so.
But they're mainly corporate people, so they don't make a lot of noise. But I get what you mean.
Yeah. Just intimidating from the comfy chairs. But hopefully the whole thing's open. But yeah, we've just had our hardest game remaining in the Premier League season on paper, at least. Then it'd be City at home. I don't really care where we play the rest of the top 4 teams. I think Villa, obviously at Villa Park's difficult, but we just saw Newcastle go there and win. So we've just got the hard one out of the way. Let's piss through the rest of the league. We're still top. Let's get to that City game, and Brentford are going to win tomorrow night. It's fine. But no, let's get to that City game, as I mentioned. Cup in hand, perfect record. Make that game absolutely massive.
I mean, I will take that all day because it is going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely huge. And if we have that extra bit of spice, then it will mean either us going back ahead or opening up a further lead. That will be fantastic. And hopefully by then as well, Lego Head will have gone full Lego Head and disappeared from the rear view mirror as well. What about shows coming up from you during the week? I know you're going to be involved in everything. Anything you want to specifically give a shout out to?
I'm not sure what I'll actually be on. I'll be in, as you say, a background of everything. I will shout out Buzz for You because I forgot to edit it on Saturday. That came out this morning. So yeah, True Detective there, and I don't know if you've announced the other one, but there will be another one probably Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, because I did it late, so there's a nice gap there. But there's another Buzz coming in the middle of the week, and I think the Fight Fever lads are planning something tomorrow. Obviously, boxing and all that jazz. Yeah, if you like movies or boxing, check out the other channels. There we go.
And quite honestly, why wouldn't you like movies and boxing after a game like that where, like I say, we had to endure the indignity of defeat to Lego Head and his little minions. But that is the nature of a challenge for the title. There will be days that are a pain in the arse. Hopefully this is one of those in a grander scheme of things, which will see the Reds win that league, which would seem the most appropriate way to send off our manager. We have done our best to react to it in the usual raw way. Don't take any personal comments about your personal favourites too seriously. It's not exactly the easiest job in the world to do this and remain completely neutral. We do try. We try to give any kind of perspective we can to any of the comments we make. But then occasionally there'll just be irrational hatred like mine for Mikel Arteta. And I won't apologise to anyone. I won't apologise to anyone for that because he's just a terrible set of lads. But from Guy Drinkle, from Jim Boardman, from myself, Trev Denny, that was Raw. We'll be back with you in a week.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.